We are on Ghana's eastern coastline in the Volta region, where carbon fumes casually burns and darkens the open skies. Here, the tidal waves of the Atlantic erodes the coastline by 3 to 4 meters every year, washing away vital roads and buildings. This is sizable erosion. The land simply keeps disappearing. Ghana has a coastal band of about 500 kilometers, much of it below sea level. One of the lowest points and vulnerable to sea level rise is Keta, or tip of the sand, as the people here call it. This once prosperous commercial town now sits perilously between an ever-expansive lagoon and the tidal waves of the Atlantic. Keta has battled with the sea as long as can be remembered. This is where the original sea wall stood. Built in the 1960s, it has long been swallowed by the sea. The latest sea defense looks impressive, if not formidable, but if sea temperatures continue to rise as a result of global warming, there is a real danger that the unthinkable can happen.
The temperature of the sea is rising, the water is expanding, and the volume is rising.
We're expecting a 2 to 3 degree rise in temperature in the next decade.
Keta, and in fact most of Ghana's coastline, can be submerged by the sea.
By the year 2050, the coastline of Ghana in the Volta region will be at Anani, which is about several kilometers inland from where it is now.
We're looking at the loss of a large part of our coastal areas as sea levels rise, and that tends to be where our populations concentrate.
Approximately 60% of the population of Ghana.
Most of our development is also along the coast. Tourist attraction, they are along the coast. Our capital also.
If we're not able to take the steps required, we are looking at a disaster.
We're expecting 2 to 3 degree rise in temperature in the next decade and a drop of about 20% in rainfall. More frequent storm events. Increased risk of flood. It sounds contradictory that you're going to have warming at the same time more rain.
Climate change is affecting our lives. It's affecting the lives of people. It's affecting our development. 40% of Ghanaians, depend upon fishing, as a livelihood. Climate change is affecting our food security. It's affecting our health, our ability to survive on the planet.
A few hundred kilometers from Keta is the Akosombo Hydroelectric Dam, Ghana's powerhouse, supplying 60% of the country's energy needs.
The most important resource that we need for the power generation here is the water that is in the lake. The water in the lake comes as a result of rainfall that we have in the upper reaches of the Volta system. The water comes over here and the dam ensures that it is directed into the turbines for the power generation.
What happens here is important to Ghana's economy and prosperity. In 2007, water in the dam reached critically low levels, causing power cuts and power rationing throughout the country.
A lot of people went out of business. We were able to cost that. Think about the number of people who died in hospitals because there was no energy or electricity to undertake their surgeries and other things. If we're able to put cost to all these issues, I mean, it's going to be phenomenal.
Our experience in the last 2 years is very critical. It showed clearly that lack of water in the dam, enough for power generation, brings about a whole lot of problems.
The sustainability of the dam and how it's actually going to be able to cater for our energy needs is actually at stake.
The type of temperatures that you have lead to evaporation, excessive evaporation of the water.
Clearly, with forest cover and other vegetative cover loss, you're going to lose your water sources. Between 1900, 1909 and 1990, we moved from 8.2 million hectares of tropical forest cover to 1.6. If you look at the statistics since then, even though there hasn't been a full survey, it is clear that the rate of deforestation has actually accelerated since 1990. And it's probably unlikely that we have 1 million hectares left of forest cover in this country. We're reaching a state of almost complete deforestation.
Water levels are going to decrease, as well as the rainfalls are not going to be as forthcoming as we actually expect it to be able to fill the dam to enable us generate enough energy.
We started talking about how we can have energy mix. I mean, using green energy, renewables, solar, wind, and then biogas, so we are in the process of working, collaborating with external agencies, to support us in our determination. And especially, we have tons of waste. Convert the waste into energy.
Tamale, northern Ghana. A young boy rides his donkey cart to the water dam. But a girl gets there first. It's the dry season, and this is all that is left of the water. Elsewhere, it's really about scraping the water from the ground. Adama Hussaini and his friends have been up since dawn in search of water that takes them miles and miles away from home. As in most of West Africa's savanna belt, northern Ghana has been experiencing less and less rainfall, which is exacerbating desertification. For Adama Hussaini, it means little water for domestic chores. This whole area used to be filled with water, but it has all evaporated as temperatures steadily rise.
Women are basically the homemakers. They get up in the morning and they have to go looking for water for the house, and they sometimes have to travel miles and miles for water. If you have to walk about 3 hours to go and fetch water and 3 hours back, that is 6 hours gone. In gender terms, we say that they are time poor. They have limited time to do so many things. So that when there is climate change and then there's drought, they are most affected. Women cook for the house, take care of the sick, managers of the home, fetchers of wood, organize children, most dependent on the land and the natural resources, overburdened. The roles that women play as compared to that of men makes them more vulnerable to climate change.
Adama Hussaini's mother and sisters returned from fetching fuel wood in the nearby town of Tolon. That is after a full day of farming. home, the woman's work is never done. There's the evening meal to prepare and the children to take care of. In northern Ghana, as arable land dries up and gets less fertile, agricultural productivity suffers, intensifying food insecurity and rural poverty. Ghana's Environmental Protection Agency projects steady temperature increases and reductions in rainfall over the coming decades as a result of the impact of climate change. This can result in food insecurity as a result of declining soil infertility, increased incidence of vector-borne diseases, desertification, sizable sea erosion, and sea rises, increased concerns over the continued operation of the Akosombo Dam, and decline in national revenue, particularly due to potential decline of Ghana's lead export, cocoa. With drier and less fertile soils and the surge of the black pod disease, climate change can alter the viability of cocoa production in Ghana.
You have a scenario for Ghana where by the year 2080, we cannot grow cocoa in Ghana.
Even in its most mildest forms, with the kinds of dislocations and weather patterns for a rain-fed agricultural economy, we are looking at serious social turmoil.
It starts off a chain of events which pushes us deeper to the margin of poverty.
What climate change is doing is it's deepening poverty in society, especially for our rural communities and for poor countries that don't have access to improved technology.
The roles that women play as compared to that of men makes them more vulnerable.
We are working with one earth. We do not know how much, in quotes, punishment that earth can take. And there's a concept known as the equilibrium point or tipping point, where if we go beyond, instead of having a gradual change in conditions, we may have a rapid and catastrophic change. We do not know where that tipping point is. I would say that let us slow our rush to contribute carbon, because that tipping point might be tomorrow.